So now that you have understood more about low ticket closing, high ticket closing, keys to high performance, things like this, we're going to move on to the automated closing. Now, what I would say is that you don't need to worry too much about automated closing when you're first starting out. Really, you start worrying about automated closing once you have your own system dialed in that is getting you consistent profits and results. And then once you have that system dialed in, now you can start to transfer that towards more automation tools. But I wouldn't look to do automated closing straight off the bat. So that's just something that I wanted to have as a preface for this video. But it's good to understand this because this is a target that you can aim for going forwards. And it doesn't need to take that long either to get to this stage. So I'm going to go through to start off with the ways to make money, right? There's three ways to make money. We either have money one, money two, or money three. Currently, right now, you're watching this video, chances are you're in money one, where you're trading time for money, like 97% of the world population. But you don't want to be in money one. You want to be in money two, at least, where you are trading money for money. So you're not having to give up your time all the time. Money one looks like this, where you're the person doing the dials. You're the person who's doing all the work yourself. Money two looks a little bit more like this, where it's not just you, right? You might still be trading a little bit of time for money, but also now you're trading money for money because you're paying other employees, right? You're paying other people to do work for you. That's an example of what it's like to trade money for money. And from that, you get more out because it's not just 100% of your efforts, but it's 1% of 100 people's efforts. Money three is where you have multiple streams of income. And so this is less than 1% of the world's population, where you have so much going on in terms of not only the duplication of hiring other people, but also different investments that you have within multiple businesses, multiple assets. So this is less than 1% of the world population. And so many people have this twisted mindset, which is, I'm going to have multiple streams of income right now. I'm going to have passive income right now. But they have barely anything to their name. You don't get to that point by just going straight from money one to money three. You need to be able to transition. You need to be able to put in the time right now first. And then once you put in all of that time and you paid your price of success, then you can put in and trade money for money. And then once you've paid the price in terms of money for success, then you can have multiple streams of income. And so the great thing about mastering the skill of closing is that you can move all the way to money three and earn some very, very, very sexy money passively. I've seen it happen time and time again, and I've even experienced some sexy money myself as well. So the 4 levels of work is another way that we look at how we can make money. So traditionally speaking, when we look at work and how it's been going all the way back to not only what it's like for our ancestors, but just a few hundred years ago, people were operating through what we call slavery, right? And slavery is forced labor. That's what that is. Slavery is forced labor, where the chains are put not necessarily, on by your will, but it's literally because somebody else has forced you because they bought you as their property, and now they literally chain you up so that you can't go away, right? And you're forced to work for them. The next level, and this is a progression from the first, but not by that much, right? It's another type of slavery, but this time it is employment, which is not forced labor, but this is labor, which is it's through permission. And the chains are not necessarily on the wrists or on the body, but the chains are within. The chains are spiritual chains. The chains are within the mind. They keep a person mentally enslaved, believing that they can't go out, keeping them institutionalized. So now they have this fear of not going into work because if they don't, then because of the addiction towards a salary and addiction towards these paychecks, then they're not going to be able to survive, right? So they get stuck in employment where they get paid enough to feel as though they have enough to survive, but not enough to not, which is pretty much the same as slavery, because with slavery, they would still give them enough food, give them enough alcohol to numb the pain, but also to give them enough food so they go out there and physically do the work, but not enough to go out there and do much else. And a lot of people say to me that they're paycheck to paycheck, which is the exact same shit as slavery, right? So understand where you are in this journey right now. in terms of your levels of work. And yeah, the cool thing about the employment is that they're actually sold the idea that this is, the best thing since sliced bread to the person who comes in. But then once they're in, they realize that, wow, I just gave permission to an employer to put me in slavery. That was genius, because it is. It really is genius. The third level of work is self-employment. And self-employment is where now you are owning a job. So as much as you've ascended and now you're not reliant upon an employer who could be taking advantage of you, not paying you the full worth of your value, now you're becoming more self-employed and you're having to do a lot more work, put a lot more time and effort. It requires more skill, more belief, but at the same time, you're earning more money. So it's a better place to be financially. But it's not the best place to be, really, because lifestyle speaking, you're actually trading more time for more money. The only real option for anybody who wants to have the type of lifestyle where you can do what you want, where you can have that freedom, where you can go and travel, where you can go and be with family, where you can be present with them, the only option available is automation. That is the only one that you can consider. Everything else is not going to give you the lifestyle. And so automation is where you're making automatic money because systems have been put in place where it can be done without your physical presence. It can be done without you trading your time for money. So this is really what we want to work towards. And the final thing I want to show is the cash flow quadrant. The cash flow quadrant, this is something that Robert Kiyosaki, the guy who authored Rich Dad Poor Dad, came up with, and it clearly shows the difference between linear income and residual income. Linear income is what we have on the left-hand side, where it's just you, 100% of your income, and that's it. So you have your job, you can own a job, but the problem is that you're trading time for money. You're starting over every day at zero. On the right-hand side, right, it's more residual income, leveraged income, where you own a system and people work for you. So as long as you can develop a system, which you can within closing, now you can earn up to 100 people's profit at 1% or even more than 1%. And now you become a business owner. You're not a business owner until there's more people in the business and you have a system. And also you can become an investor with that passive income of making your money work for you. Your income is not dependent on your physical presence. So we want to transition from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the quadrant. And we do so by gaining the skills, changing the mindset, and getting the belief in ourselves and in our people. So traditional versus modern automation. Traditionally speaking, when it comes to automation, companies, what they'll do is that they'll create a system that works for them, and then they'll teach that to other people to duplicate their success, to duplicate their efforts. And that's why we need to have like these big offices, these huge places, these huge buildings, these huge skyscrapers. It's because they need space for the people to work, for that culture to occur. Now, this is a great way that you can scale your business and you can start putting in automation because people can do some great things. But at the same time, we're moving into a phase where we don't necessarily need people to do a lot of the same type of work that was done before because we are developing artificial intelligence. Now, this has become such a big thing over the last year, but here's the thing. We've been using artificial intelligence for many, many years. It's just that now it's becoming more popularized. Now it's going to the masses. And when something comes to the masses, you know you're already too late. You know you're already late. Doesn't mean that you just ignore it and you don't use it whatsoever. It just means that you missed an opportunity. You missed the boat. So with AI, you missed the opportunity. You missed the boat, the huge opportunity that there was. But at the same time, there is still opportunity right now to create automation in your businesses. Just like there's opportunity to create automation with people. There's still opportunity to do that with AI. And the great thing is when you do it with AI, it's so much more inexpensive. Think about it in comparison to people. If you wanted to pay a person's salary, they're going to demand a minimum wage. AI does not demand a minimum wage. AI does not demand a minimum wage, which is why it's so much cheaper in comparison. You can literally have like a freaking army, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, the next thing I want to show you is what we call talent acquisition. So let's say you do go through the traditional route, which is bringing in new talent and new people to go and duplicate your efforts and success. The same way that you have a sales funnel in a business, how you've learned with closing, is how you want to have what we call a talent acquisition funnel. And so talent acquisition funnel is just like a sales funnel where you have different stages of the process, but it looks a little bit more like this. It starts off with recruitment marketing, and then you acquire the talent through application and selection at the end. Right? That's how it works. A little bit different. Instead of it being that you generate a lead, you generate an application. So it's a little bit different, but you're still doing it through a process. So that's how you would look at it for that, developing a talent acquisition funnel, make it as simple as possible, test out different things, and then scale whatever you've got. But if we're closing, right, and we want to become the highest level of closers, have that automation, then what we need to be doing with our profits is we need to be reinvesting. We either reinvest into employees or we reinvest into AI. I would recommend, if you're starting out, reinvest into AI, because there's a lot that it can do for you where you can actually have a full freaking army doing the work that you were doing currently. So one of the skill sets that you have within closing is obviously you've got to be able to prospect, right? You've got to be able to find new leads. So instead of having to actually go and source those leads yourself by doing cold calling, you could invest into AI through paid advertising, and that paid advertising would then generate you new, fresh leads who are within your audience, because they went out there, had the data, and went and found those people, put your content in front of those people, and put your offer in front of them. That's what AI can do for you. Now, AI is even developing to the point where it can even do the whole pitch for you. You can even have a video created by AI who is explaining what it is that you have to offer. So they can even sound like you have the tonality of certainty and things like that, right? So there's a lot that can be happening with AI in the combination of sales and marketing. So you want to think as a closer, how can I reinvest into AI so that I can do a lot less of the work and more of it is outsourced to this team of robots who are doing it for me? But here's the thing. Don't get these ideas right now of, okay, now that I've got AI, I'm going to let them do everything for me. No, get the system first. And when you have the system, then duplicate. It's the same way that if you were to have a business and you had the traditional duplication, you wouldn't just go out there and say, look, you guys know how to do it better than me, so just go and do it. You would want to develop the system first. You want to hire a person to develop the system first, and then you go and scale it to other people because you know that it works. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting a lot of money. So most closers get paid, and what happens is they spunk their money on through spending, which when you look at the word spend, it actually has the word end inside of it, through ending their money on clothes, parties, and drugs, etc. But what the best closer does, the best closer recognizes that as much as it's okay to have fun, only 10% or less should be spent on ourselves when we earn an income. The rest wants to be invested into generating more leads through either paid ads or paid employees or agencies. So my recommendation is that in this modern era, that the reinvestments initially go into paid ads, because algorithms demand much less money right now than people, but they can still do an as good job. Some would argue, including myself, an even better job than human beings. They're more reliable. They don't take sick days. They have more data. They work together in harmony, in unison, coherently. People fight, people argue, people complain. Algorithms don't do that. So yeah, the next thing is scaling. Once you've got a taste for reinvesting, the desire will kick in. You'll see the results, and now you know how much you can get out of doing this. And so you're going to want to scale as hard and as fast as possible by taking all the profits and reinvesting 90 to 100% into ads or employees. And you can continue to repeat this process until you reach the stage where your desire to grow the business is no longer there and your preference is to do something else with the money. The problem most new entrepreneurs have is that they don't close themselves on scaling in the beginning. And so they end up wasting the money on other expenses that they wish they didn't pay for, right? And this doesn't want to be you. What you want to do is you want to be the person who's growing so fast, nobody can catch up to you, because you're just literally getting your profits, reinvesting all of it, reinvesting all of it, reinvesting all of it. And eventually you'll see that you're just 10x's. It just grows massively. So, yeah, this is the video on automation. I hope that you've got a lot of value from watching this. And this is pretty much it for the rest of the course. You're going to see some demonstrations, and also there's the assessment that you can go through as well to get qualified and certified within this program. But yeah, thanks for watching this one. And I hope that you've taken, so much value from spending this time together with us in the closing mastery, and that you are gaining that confidence from watching these videos. I would highly recommend that this is not just something that you watch over once. This is something that you play on repeat. This is something that you make sure that you fully understand so that you can even get it to a level of teaching, but then also that you're able to implement and act on everything that's been shared. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you out throughout the rest of the course. Thanks.